Hey, hi, hello. Welcome back to the Rich Soul Podcast. If you're new here, my name is Reyhan. I am a creativity and fulfillment coach. Today, we'll be talking about how you can start over your life right now. I'm talking like right after this video, actually taking some big action. Now, I have tried to construct this video in a variety of different ways. One way being a lot of whatever else you see online when you type this into your search bar, which was like, here are the 5 ways to really change your life. And I just couldn't do it. I can't do things in sequence when it comes to like recording. I'm a storyteller and I'd rather you be inspired and empowered and to get what you need out of me really breaking down a story of my own experience. So you know that it's real and that it's possible and that I'm not just sitting here being like, step one, quit your job. But I digress. That's me foreshadowing, by the way. Just so you know. But to get into it, if you really are serious about starting over, I'll break this down into phases. Okay, so phase one is you better be fed up. You're fed up. You've hit a breaking point, whether it's in relation to your career and you're looking at your job, you're like, I'm just done. I'm done. I'm numb to it all. I'm so done. I need something brand new. This isn't working for me. I'm not getting paid adequately, whatever it is. If you are just looking to vent, and you're just angry, but you're not actually willing to make a change in your life, this is not the video for you. The way that you actually know that you're ready to make a change is because you actually are fed up and not just annoyed and frustrated. You've got to hit a breaking point to say, I have hit my line. My own internal boundary has been crossed, and now I need to make a change. The other side of things is your whole life is already being uprooted for you. Maybe, I don't know, you're being evicted or something happened in your family or God forbid, knocking on wood, whatever it is, your life is just needing to be changed and it's kind of out of your control. This is also applicable for you. So it's either hitting a breaking point or the change is happening regardless. So what are you going to do next? Now, within my own life, I'm going to bring in an example related to my career. In the beginning of my career, I started a career in finance. I'm looking for a man in finance. 6'5", blue eyes. Finance. 6'5", blue eyes. And I love the company. I love the people that I worked with. I didn't necessarily love the job. I liked the job. It was interesting enough. And I had really fought to have this job, meaning like I was an extern, which is really like sophomore year or junior year. You go away for a weekend, you get to see what the company's about. They put you through a bunch of activities, you get to network, they get to know you. And at the end of it, you have an opportunity to be interviewed for a full-time job. And I did that, got that offer after the interview for the full-time role, did the full-time role. And while I was there, I realized how much I actually did love the company, but I just, I couldn't commute 2 hours there and back every day, which is my reality. And it just became so overwhelming for my body. It became overwhelming for my mind because I felt like I was going into work every day, just like with a ton of brain fog, never got enough sleep while I was there. And I was also dealing with the overwhelm and the imposter syndrome that comes with growing up in New York City, which was my experience growing up in the city, and suddenly like walking into a building where life is just drastically different. The things that people do at work are different. The way that they talk is different. The way that they dress and smell, it's all different. Like we're talking about going from people who had blue collar jobs to white. And that was just such a shock to my system because every day I was going home to that neighborhood that I grew up in, to a home of a family that, my dad owned a pizzeria growing up, right? There was just this underlying tone of struggle that I grew up with, that you had to go to this laborious job. And that was the only way that, I saw people making money growing up. And so here I am in this space where I'm using my mind to actually make money is what it felt like. And, in the beginning, it was just exciting. I was on this almost high of just like, wow, like this is all new and interesting. And I just want to learn as much as possible and get my hands dirty in whatever, was exciting and interesting to me. But then over time, as I got more tired and just really couldn't commute anymore, I hit a breaking point and I said, I really love this company. I've like applied to things internally and just wasn't landing anywhere. And I really do love this company. I love the people that I've met. I love the work that I've done so far, but something has to change. I can't do this anymore. I can't do it. I will continue to get sick. I feel like my mental health will continue to just explode. I don't know, just not improve over time either. And that was like a decision that I'd made internally before I even had done something outside of me to really fix that problem. But once I had realized that I had hit a breaking point, I had decided, okay, I'm going to quit this job and I'm going to figure out what I need to do to be able to quit it and not risk my entire career, like at least the future of my career at that point, since that was my first job, be financially responsible about the decision, and to really have this intention of I'm going to take some time to sleep, to finally sleep, and to understand what I actually want to be doing next. Like what do I want to be doing every day? Like that was my first experience of really doing something every single day, like indefinitely, effectively, right? And instead of school, and you just want to reflect for a second. And so I had quit the job without a backup plan, and that was like a shock to everyone in the office. I was like, I need to help my family. There's a lot going on. And my dad's pizzeria at the time, so I wasn't lying because that was very much a truth. My dad's pizzeria at the time just wasn't doing well. And I thought to myself, if I had quit, then at least I can take some time to help him figure that whole thing out. And at the same time, figure out more of, like I said, what I wanted to really be doing next. And so I had quit. Day that I did that, I paid off all of my student loans using my savings. And I remember going home after like getting drinks with people too, and saying bye and doing all of that. I went home and I was like, okay, now what? Like, I know that I have this intention of just like resting for a little bit. I know what I learned there. I know what I liked, what I didn't like. I was able to meet lots of people that can potentially connect me to other people too, right? And here's my father, who also is really needing some help right now, even if he's not asking for it. And so I laid out everything that was just happening now that I've taken that big step, because I was just so fed up and I had prepared myself to really leave in a way that at least worked for me, right? Again, paid off my student loans. I knew I was living at home, and so I didn't really have to worry about rent at the time, which I know is an advantage for some of you who are listening. But I don't know. If you know of people that you can just stay with for a little bit as you just get yourself together, that's okay. Like, there's no shame in that at any age in my book, especially if you know, okay, like I've saved up this much. I know that I've got these skills and I just need a place to be so then I can pivot and make these changes. That's okay. I think it's not okay, just so you understand, where you're at too. I think it's not okay if you don't have that established. If you don't understand how much money you have currently, if you don't have other investments and just are looking at things and just saying, you know what, I'm going to just impulsively leave, that's not responsible. So that's not where I'm getting at, right? But I knew I was in that space of just almost like evaluating my life and evaluating what I've learned and what I've realized I like and don't like, and where my energy could be going right now, instead of trying to think about it like 5 years from now, because that's not helpful. That creates more of a sense of overwhelm, right? So just looking at what's in front of me, waking up every day and saying, okay, what feels right, what doesn't feel right, and starting to apply for jobs, even if I didn't really know what I wanted to necessarily do next. So I didn't put so much pressure on myself for the first time ever. Didn't put a ton of pressure on myself to figure out like what I really wanted to do next. But I did know that I've worked extremely hard and was strategic enough leading up to this point to have a career that had job opportunities available, and to have worked at a company that is big enough of a name to mean something regardless of where I go next, right? So that gave me enough confidence, even at that time with no other experience really, to say like I will be okay. I will be okay. And I'm saying that to you because I think when you're going through so much change, just that feeling within yourself of just knowing you'll be okay can really ground you, especially when things around you are just floating and are everywhere. You've got to just know within yourself that you'll be okay. And if you don't know that, I'm telling you right now, you will be okay, especially if you're sitting here and you care enough to watch this and follow through with everything that I'm saying here, you will be okay. And to surround yourself with people that will remind you that too. Whether it is a family member or a friend, somebody that says, I know you've been in other situations before and you've been able to get out of it. And I'm proud of you for getting out of that, and you will be okay. Matter of fact, you'll be great. You gotta feel that. You gotta know that. It doesn't have to look like it right now, but just know that and carry that with you. So that's phase two, is to actually like bite the bullet and take the leap and make this big change for yourself, knowing that it's a change for you and not for anybody else. And it's confusing and it's scary, but it's a change that you knew you needed to make. And so for those who haven't made that change yet, because again, you're watching this, just know that it is scary, even after the fact. It's not like that solves all your problems. Matter of fact, it actually creates new problems that now you got to solve. But they're better problems than you had before because you're helping yourself. This is all a form of self-respect, right? And you don't even have to be in a situation where you are being disrespected to feel that. Choosing fulfillment and choosing a life that feels really good to you is a form of self-love. It's like giving yourself a big hug and saying, "We don't know where we're going to go next, but I love you. I really love you. And I want the best for you." And so that's why we're doing this. Bringing it back to my story, after that second phase, I really had to ask myself, okay, I've gone on these interviews, I've applied for these jobs, I've helped my family in these areas, and this is like maybe a few months into just not working at all. What have I found? What have I realized? What have I learned even in this process? What's working, what's not? How do I actually feel? Have I gotten enough rest? Do I need to go to a doctor because I don't know, I just probably haven't really realized what's really wrong with me because I've just been so go go go. Like asking yourself whatever questions you need to make sure that you're just moving forward in the right direction every day. The last thing you want to do when you make this big change is just to freeze and to do absolutely nothing. You can rest, but resting is very different than this freeze response, which typically looks like not moving, not doing anything, not making a call, not taking any form of action, whatever that looks like for you, right? You got to rest and you got to get up and say, okay, this is what I know now. And then let that change every day. Let it be just a step forward every single day. And depending on your situation, you might need to, light a fire underneath you and to really take some big action every single day. But the idea is you can see that progress, and it doesn't have to be the progress that you thought you were going to see for your life because you're going through a lot of change and you probably didn't expect this for yourself, right? But you're seeing some sort of growth within you, within the things around you, and just really acknowledge that growth and acknowledge that now you have more answers than you do questions. That's a big sign. That's huge. So during that third phase of just really realizing, this is what is now working and what is now not working. I've made these things and I haven't been able to do this. And to not look at the things you haven't been able to do and say, "Oh man, I should be doing more." Like right now you're in a phase where shit's everywhere. So even if you were to have done it, would it have made a difference? Who knows? So really be kind to yourself. Like there's so much up in the air that you just got to take it one step at a time and do the most that you can, and to really say, today I'm just going to give 100% of my effort, even if I don't know where that takes me in a year from now, but I'm taking a step forward. Now, once you're in that space and you've established that this is a new flow for yourself and now reality feels different and you're waking up every day and this is just what you know, I would encourage you to put an intention out into the universe and say, God, spirit, universe, whatever you believe in. And if you believe in nothing, just at least say it out loud so you can feel it for yourself. This is what I want next. This is what I want my day-to-day life to look like next. And I think it would help to do some sort of visualization exercise where you just sit down and just visualize what you want to be doing. Like, what is the day-to-day life that you're trying to live? Like, you're obviously, you weren't happy with that. Right now might feel a little better, but you're probably not satisfied because you're in this limbo in between. But really visualize, like, what does a day-to-day life look like for you? I was actually talking to a friend, I think it was last week, 2 weeks ago. I don't know. Time's not real. And I was talking to a friend, and she was talking about how she wanted to, at some point, be in this management role, and she was like, she just really wants to be an executive. Like that is just where her energy feels called to, and that's real. That's not out of ego. It's just you have an aspiration of being this person in a company, in society, what have you. But I asked her, I think the only way that you'll know the exact position that's right for you is by asking yourself, what does that day to day even look like? Because it's not just about having that name or owning that thing or living in that space. Really think about what that actually means as you're waking up. You don't have to think about it too deeply, but just enough to say, do I actually want that? Like right now I live in San Diego. And so this kind of ties back to my story. And during that time, like I said, I was living in New York and I was commuting to Jersey while I was working. But I knew that at some point after going through this process and filtering through and having all these interviews and saying no to job opportunities too that required me to be in New York, I was like, maybe I just don't want to be in New York. And I had decided that I wanted to move to San Diego because I had visited once, loved it, and so wanted to make the move. Now, I didn't just pack my bags and go. I just put that intention out into the universe and said, that's what I want to do. But even before making that decision, I asked myself, what is the day to day life like in San Diego? So I thought back to that time that I'd visited and said, okay, I woke up every day and this is what that felt like. And yes, I didn't have a job at the time, but this is what it just was like, and that's real. That's your actual experience. That's not you just making that up, just like really thinking about that. So if you need to take a trip, I know it's hard, probably, especially related to your career or just big changes to do stuff financially. But if you do have the means, go out and do it. Try it, test run different lifestyles, test run different environments, figure out what actually works for you. And if you can't, then you've got all these online resources to understand what living in this particular neighborhood or joining these kinds of communities really is like. You've got everything available to you for you to use, and so you can actually make your decision with intention and with some sort of awareness. Instead of just saying I want to live here or I want to do this, you actually know what you're getting yourself into. That's the idea. Then, after you've gone through that, and this is really the last leg, is really being able to say, okay, I put the intention out there, and I've also understood that this is what I want, this is not what I want, this is more of what I want, this is also not what I want, and really narrowing it down to say, what do I actually want to do? So, bringing it back to my career, after interviewing and again saying no to certain jobs, I was like, okay, I don't want to be in New York, at least not right now. Like that's a decision that I've made. And I know that the job opportunities and the interviews that I've had that I really did enjoy and the companies that I enjoyed were mostly related to consulting and talking to different people every day. And I imagined myself doing that where I was like, would love to travel for work. I would love to meet with different clients and use my voice and use whatever knowledge I had about whatever we were doing to actually influence people to either buy, to make big decisions within their organizations. Like I understood that through a series of maybe like 10, 15 interviews, which probably doesn't sound like a lot to some of you, but 15 like actual interviews of just like going in and giving it my all and thinking like, okay, I like this, I didn't like that. That was kind of boring. I don't know if I would want to do that every day. And again, this was after just having one job. And so I had the audacity to even like think, I could do this and I can't do that, but these are the actual skills that I had. But I knew that this is what I wanted. And I knew that if I went into that next interview for whatever job I was going to go into next with confidence, with owning whatever I did know so far and knowing that it was still entry level. So I wasn't being like overly ambitious by any means, but really positioning myself well to say, I want this. I want this. After everything that I've experienced during the time of leaving that job till now, I know that I want something like this. I don't know exactly what's going to happen once I'm there. I know what the day to day looks like because I've asked and I've done research, but I don't know all the details, and that's okay. That's not my job. I'm going to surrender that to the universe or, again, to whatever you believe in, and know that it's going to work out for me and that I am taken care of. I will be okay. I will be great, right? So then I narrowed down all of my filters on LinkedIn and Indeed to the things that I had just described, right? And I found an opportunity. It was entry level and it required training and it was in San Diego. And so I was like, okay, this is the opportunity. And so I interview. I'm anxiously awaiting for their response because I made the intention that this is at least the kind of job that I wanted and manifested it in a lot of ways. I made the exact amount that I had once written down when I was in college for this next job, and then packed my bags and moved. Pretty crazy, right? And here I am 4 years later, and I've moved from that company to another company since and have made so much more money just even through that process. Bought a home, which I live in now. Insane. It's insane what happens when you actually do say, I've had enough and I'm going to trust the process, but every day I'm going to show up and just give it my all and try to see things as clearly as possible. That's pretty much the end of my story and the end of this process here. But the one thing that I did not mention is listening to your intuition. You really have to develop some sort of relationship with your intuition, because during this process, I didn't trust myself. I don't know anything. In my brain, I know nothing, right? I just quit the only job that I knew and the only company that I, effectively knew of working in to take this huge leap. And it is scary and it is a big change, you know? So if you're in a situation where you're like, well, that sounds great, that sounds like a really inspiring story, awesome, but maybe for me that's just not the case, I would challenge you to really sit down and say, look around you. Just look around you. Are you happy with what you're looking at? Are you happy with the person that you are right now? Like, seriously, this is your life we're talking about. And so if you really wanted to make the change because you're just really not happy, why waste another minute, another hour, another day? Why? You have so much more to you than whatever, again, we're talking about my career here, whatever situation you're in. You deserve so much more, especially if you feel that within yourself. Go after it, try it. And you don't have to make these drastic changes either, even though this video is about starting all over, but try different things. Figure out what actually will make you happy. You don't want to go another year, decade even, because people do, of just being in this place that is just so comfortable that it's painful now. And you've done it to yourself, and there's no one to blame but you. And yes, from a mental health standpoint, that can be very triggering to some people, and I can get that. But this is your life. You're fully responsible, and you should be fully accountable for it. And it just takes making one simple change to really have this ripple effect of change that really makes your life better, full of color, full of opportunities. Let me just show you this real quick. Hold on. On this whole darn tripod here, but like that's my view. There's an ocean right there. You know, that's not even to flex. That is simply to say, take a chance. Take the chance. I believe in you. I don't even need to know you to believe in you, because if you're watching this and you really have made it this far, you have it in you to make that kind of change. And it just takes one day at a time, right? And once you have that vision, hold that vision. That vision's real. When I got this home, I'll talk about it in other videos, and I've talked about it on my podcast if you want to listen to that. But I've had the screenshot on my phone for the longest, and it looks so much like this apartment. So manifestation is real, but also just holding that vision in your head is very real. And if you're not a visual kind of a person, write it down in detail. This is such a powerful vibration to put out into the world, into the universe, because opportunities will find you. I feel like that job found me more than I had found it. And that helped me really create this life that I have. And it taught me all the things that I needed to build a business now, especially the job after that too, and all the experiences. It's all working for you. I promise. You just got to listen to it and be brave enough to make just a small change in your life, because you'll be really proud of yourself and you deserve that. So I'm going to leave you with that. I hope this was helpful. It wasn't a step-by-step process. I had phases, didn't really name them, but there we go. I will see you on my next video. If you're listening to on whatever podcast streaming platform you listen to this on, I'll see you on the next episode. And without further ado, like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you without further ado. I don't know. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all the things. And I will see you next time.